We've just had a great friendship. There's never been, well, there's a great love there.
It all started in Nashville, 1964, a golden day that felt like the sunlight itself had blessed me. I had just stepped out of my very first recording studio, holding a torn suitcase filled with songs I believed could change my life. And I didn't know that life had already changed me. An old pickup truck pulled over, and out stepped a man with dark hair, a slow smile, and eyes that seemed to read straight through the makeup I wore like armor. His words, "You're as beautiful as moonlight strumming through a guitar," made me laugh, but I felt it deep in my chest, the first time I heard love spoken in the language of music. That man, Carl Dean, was quiet and humble, a farm owner who valued life's simple rhythms, while I was a dreamer chasing the sky with every note. Two worlds collided, and in that collision, music met love. I thought I had found my first duet, the one that would carry me through every stage and studio I could imagine. Those early days were sweet and simple. He cooked dinners with corn and beans, we played old records together, and I sang trembling songs in a tiny kitchen that felt like the whole world. Carl called me Dolly, just my name, not the star. And in that moment, I felt truly seen, truly loved, and truly myself. Early career and first challenges. By 1967, the world began knocking at our door, and I stepped into it with all the enthusiasm of a young woman finally touching her dream. My first album, Hello, I'm Dolly, had just been released, and the hands shaking around the microphone reflected the nerves I carried inside. I looked around the studio at champagne glasses, photographers, and laughter, but my eyes always sought one person, Carl, standing quietly, his warm gaze distant yet protective. He whispered, "I'm proud of you, but don't let the world take you away." I smiled, believing I understood, but the years would teach me otherwise. As I appeared regularly on the Porter Wagoner Show, sharing music and laughter with him, I began to understand that fame has a way of quietly reshaping every relationship. The applause, the lights, the cameras, they didn't just illuminate me, they slowly shifted the center of my life, moving Carl to the margins. And every time I came home to his quiet gaze and cold coffee, I felt the subtle cracks of distance widen between us. Love was still there, but it existed in a different frequency, quieter, almost imperceptible in a world that demanded performance and presence above all else. Learning the cost of success. The early 1970s brought recognition I had dreamed of, but never fully understood. Joshua hit #1 on the Billboard country chart. Coat of Many Colors became an anthem, and I toured relentlessly from Memphis to Los Angeles. The audiences loved me, calling my name, hugging me with tears in their eyes. And yet, every time I returned home, I was met by a man whose presence reminded me that love could exist silently, patiently, and yet be profoundly lonely. Carl would ask if I was happy, his voice calm, simple, unadorned, and every time he said, "I'm not," I felt the distance between us deepen. The question wasn't blame, it was observation, and the longer I chased stages, television appearances, and chart success, the more I realized that distance is not measured in time or miles, it is measured in feeling. We were living together under the same roof, yet our hearts had begun traveling separate paths, and no award, no applause, no spotlight could bring them back together. Jolene and the Fear of Losing Love. In 1973, when I wrote Jolene, the song became more than just a chart topper. It became an expression of a fear that had quietly grown over the years. I was terrified that love could be lost not to another woman, but to the very life I had chosen, to the spotlight that both nourished and consumed me. One night, after several unanswered calls to Carl, I wrote the song, my tears marking each chord and lyric. "Please don't take my man" wasn't a plea to the world. It was a plea to the heart of my marriage, a private cry that no one saw. The song climbed the charts, yet I understood that success could never fill the spaces between us. Even as millions sang along, The man I loved most remained silent, quiet in his own world, witnessing my life from afar, a constant reminder of what can exist in love without words. The paradox of performing for millions while trying to preserve a relationship in silence was one of the most challenging lessons I had ever learned. Goodbye in song. In 1974, the decision to leave the Porter Wagoner Show after 7 years weighed heavily on me, and it found its voice in the song I wrote, "I Will Always Love You." That song was more than a farewell to a professional partnership. It was a reflection of transitions already taking place in my personal life, a quiet acknowledgement of the chapters I was leaving behind while still living in their presence. Recording in RCA Studio B under the soft glow of pale yellow light, I felt the weight of everything I had carried up to that moment, and tears fell freely as I sang the final line. Those tears were not for the career I was leaving, nor for applause that might follow, but for Carl, for the life we had begun together, and for a love that had gradually shifted into something quieter yet enduring. When I mailed the recording to him, I received a note in return. 3 simple words. Beautiful song, I understand. Those words, so minimal yet profound, carried a depth of acknowledgement and acceptance that transcended conversation. In that quiet exchange, I recognized the end of a chapter not marked by anger or recrimination, but by mutual respect and understanding, a silent agreement that some love survives best without constant articulation. Silence as a lesson. After that, our shared home became a space of coexistence, guided by subtle gestures rather than conversation. We maintained routines together, coffee cups left out, notes tucked in the kitchen, a glance or smile that communicated understanding. But the bridge between us had changed. Silence became not an absence, but a teacher, offering lessons in listening, noticing, and appreciating without the need for explanation. It allowed space for reflection, for the recognition of love that had evolved rather than disappeared. For Carl and me, the quiet became a vessel of respect, a way to honor the intimacy we had built while accepting that our paths, though intertwined, had diverged in daily rhythm. The absence of words did not signify distance or indifference. It created room for endurance, patience, and subtle acknowledgement of each other's ongoing presence in life. Music as survival. Through the late 1970s and into the 1980s, music became both refuge and lifeline. Albums like Here You Come Again and songs such as Coat of Many Colors and Jolene were milestones in career, but also anchors in life, helping me process feelings that could not be articulated otherwise. Each performance and recording session became a way to reconcile emotion, a bridge between public expectation and private reflection. The applause was exhilarating, yet it never replaced the quiet witness of someone who understood beyond the stage lights. Carl remained present in his own way, observing without judgment, steady and patient, and in that constancy I found solace. Music allowed me to navigate joy and sorrow simultaneously, offering healing through resonance, a channel through which grief, love, and gratitude could coexist. Singing became a practice of endurance, an expression of survival, and a reminder that human connection often lives in the space music makes possible, reconciling fame and love. As fame continued to grow through the 1980s, with awards, films, and performances filling public attention, the tension between a life in the spotlight and a personal, intimate existence remained ever present. Carl observed from a quiet distance, often reminding me of the simpler truths of love with his understated comments. "It's beautiful," he would say, "but I wish it was a cake you baked for me." On the surface, a light-hearted remark, but its resonance cut through the glamour, reminding me that presence, attentiveness, and care outweigh spectacle. I began to understand that the pursuit of public admiration could inadvertently eclipse private connection, that a life built entirely for external validation risks leaving the heart unattended. Our marriage, never defined by dramatics or scandal, was characterized by parallel rhythms and silent devotion. Love, I realized, adapts over time, thriving even in the absence of constant dialogue, and finds its strength not in demonstration, but in consistency, empathy, and quiet witness. The struggles behind the smile. Years of touring, recording, and performing demanded energy that often exceeded what I felt capable of giving, leaving traces that no stage makeup could hide. Insomnia, fatigue, and the ongoing pressure to meet expectations sometimes collided with the simple desire for closeness with Carl. Public perception focused on smiles, glamour, and applause. Yet privately, I carried longing, reflection, and endurance alongside success. My health fluctuated with the demands of performance. Yet even in exhaustion, I discovered resilience I hadn't anticipated. Each note, each rehearsal became infused with personal meaning. I carried Carl in my music, the quiet presence, the calm understanding, the unspoken bond that could weather distance and disruption. Performance and life intertwined, each song a subtle testament to enduring connection, a reminder that love persists even in its quieter, unseen forms. Finding peace in Tennessee. By the late 1980s and into the 1990s, returning to Tennessee and the opening of Dollywood provided a new rhythm and sanctuary. The park, born of dreams and labor, was more than a business. It was a space for reflection, grounded in purpose and creativity, allowing moments of personal peace away from scrutiny and expectation. Carl participated selectively, content to observe from the periphery rather than perform publicly, and his quiet presence became a stabilizing anchor. Life at Dollywood offered a slower cadence, a place to breathe, contemplate, and reconnect with the simplicity of daily experience. In that stillness, I discovered a deeper understanding of love. It need not be constant conversation or shared performance to endure. Presence, patience, and attentiveness conveyed meaning as profound as any words, creating a space for forgiveness, self-compassion, and reconciliation with both career and personal life. Rediscovering voice and self. Throughout the 1990s, my albums, performances, and collaborations evolved into acts of self-reclamation. Projects like Eagle When She Flies and the trio collaboration with Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt allowed me to explore emotional and artistic recovery simultaneously. Music became a vessel for reflection, remembrance, and release, offering opportunities to honor past experiences while asserting the agency of the present. Singing became an act of healing, articulating the emotions that had accumulated through years of balancing career and private life. In each note, I found dialogue with the past, understanding, and gratitude. Through music, I was able to reconcile love that had changed shape, to honor the quiet devotion that endured, and to express what words alone could not convey. Every song was a testament to resilience, a bridge connecting private understanding with public voice, and a celebration of continuity, creativity, and presence, acceptance, and enduring love. By the 2000s and 2010s, Carl and I had settled into a rhythm that honored individuality while acknowledging shared history. His quiet attentiveness, small gestures, notes, smiles, attendance at key moments, reinforced a commitment that was profound precisely because it did not rely on dramatics. We recognize that enduring love is measured not by constant dialogue or public display, but by consistency, empathy, shared memory, and patient support. In these years, I learned that connection need not be loud to be meaningful, and that love's truest expression often lies in observation, mutual respect, and presence. Our shared life, shaped by decades of experience, reflected forgiveness, patience, and joy in simple moments, revealing the depth of intimacy that persists when understood beyond words. Reflection and legacy. As I approach my 80s, the reflections on a life filled with music, love, and growth feel both expansive and intimate. Fame illuminated the world and challenged resilience, but personal constancy, embodied by Carl's steady support, provided grounding and comfort. Music offered a way to articulate what could not be spoken, to carry emotion through rhythm, tone, and melody, and to transform experience into connection. Time itself became a teacher, emphasizing the power of patience, observation, and quiet endurance. Life taught me that we need not solve every challenge or articulate every feeling to honor love. Presence and mutual witnessing often suffice. In that understanding, I have discovered a definition of love that is enduring, transformative, and patient, resilient to circumstance, yet flexible in expression. Lessons learned. Looking back, the most profound realization is that love is not measured by proximity, shared schedules, or public attention. It thrives in attentiveness, patience, forgiveness, and respect for individuality. Fame can illuminate, inspire, and bring joy, but it cannot replace intimate connection, nor can absence diminish it. Music can be both a vehicle for expression and a sanctuary for healing, carrying emotion that words alone may never reach. Love, in its most enduring form, does not always need to be spoken aloud to be understood. It can exist in quiet gestures, in consistent presence, in the shared rhythm of lives that do not always coincide. The life Carl and I built, shaped by devotion, endurance, and gentle understanding, reflects the beauty of connection sustained across decades, adapting yet never diminishing, visible in small acts, shared routines, and the music that continues to bind us. Continuity in every note. Even now, in every song I perform, every melody I compose, and every note I sing, Carl's presence is woven into the music, silent yet inseparable from its resonance. Each performance carries echoes of love that endured challenges and transitions, reminders that intimacy is as much about patience and listening as it is about overt expression. My voice, honed through decades of professional experience, carries personal narrative, memory, and gratitude. Music remains both a reflection of my life and a conduit for connection, offering continuity between public celebration and private devotion. In every note, there is acknowledgement of enduring love, a tribute to the quiet constancy that shapes the human heart, and a testament to a life lived fully, creatively, and compassionately. Enduring love, quiet strength. Ultimately, the story of our life together is one of resilience, presence, and subtle intimacy. Love need not dominate the spotlight to flourish. It can thrive in patience, in attentiveness, in the silent acknowledgement of another's existence. The life Carl and I have shared is a testament to that principle, an enduring partnership defined by respect, gentleness, and constancy, rather than grand gesture or public validation. In navigating fame, private devotion, personal growth, and shared history, we discovered that love persists through quiet acts, through witness, and through the continuity of life itself. It is this understanding, carried across decades, that gives meaning to music, to partnership, and to every note sung and remembered.